Thank you for joining us. This is Paul Wilson.
And Justin Tyson.
And we're reporting live from Diesel Power Challenge 2019. We're out here in Golden, Colorado today talking about the results from Bandimere Speedway's third event yesterday, Justin, the cone course.
Yeah, the cone course. It's crazy. Guys hooked to a trailer go through a course that is confusing as hell. There's cones everywhere, backing up, going forward. If it could go sideways, they make them go sideways. It's everywhere.
This year they did something totally different that even guys who had performed in this event before, like Jaron Holder and Anthony Reams, who's seen it go down a bunch, and even some of the competitors who maybe were on the pit crews last year or in the years before, everybody came out and said this course is twice the size it ever has been before. It goes way faster. I think there were 2 300-foot runs of just wide open. Now that's a tight spot with a trailer, and I think it got a lot of guys the idea, I'm going to pick up a ton of speed there, and I'm going to give it nitrous to get through this and things like that. And I'll tell you what, man, everybody came back after the course and said how tough it was.
Yeah, for sure. It was tough, but this group of guys are talented. They did pretty damn good at it for it being pretty tough.
Absolutely. I'm going to give a quick rundown just through the penalties here. So we'll get times out as we go into the wrap-up mode. We don't want to give away too much information, and I don't believe the final times have been published. So for right now, we'll tell you right off the bat, Seth Kuntz in that 12-valve, man, he looked good. He looked like he had a solid time. He got 3 cones. That's 3 10-second penalties. They're going to add 30 seconds to his run just on those penalties.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's rough. It's you guys. If you guys are watching on the live feed, also you see it. It was rough.
He was first one out of the gate, so he was first one to try it. And unfortunately, we saw when he finished backing the trailer in. So in the past, you only had to back the trailer just into the gate, and as long as it broke the plane, you were done. And then they reset the trailer for the next guy. Not the case this year. They made even that portion of this tougher to where you had to back the trailer all the way in, and all of the side cones counted as penalties. And I think that's where Seth got his penalties, was he smashed that thing in at such a goofy angle. I think it just knocked over a couple of cones right there at the end, maybe one throughout the whole course. But they had to tow his truck off the track.
Yeah. Yeah, Seth had a little bit of issues there at the end, but it looked good up until the end. I think that's where he hit the cones. You're right. It was when he was backing in the last spot.
Yeah. Steven Lucero, he looked smooth. Everybody kept talking slow is smooth is fast, go slow, go smooth. He got 2 penalties. Again, I think near the middle of the track there, if I remember correctly. The truck looked good. It looked solid. I don't know if it's going to put up the best time, especially with that extra 20 seconds tacked on there. And then Richard Coker, who's been kicking ass, put it up on the dyno #1, put it up in drag racing #1, qualified #1. Richard Coker's our front leader. Even he got 2 penalties in that regular cab.
Yeah, for sure. He was telling us that he's been towing and backing up trailers since he was 6. He had a briefcase behind him or something like that, so he could reach the pedals in the truck when he was a kid.
Yeah. Here's somebody, absolutely, a lot of experience. And all these guys, they told us, man, I drive 5th wheels. I've done bumper trailers. Like I got this. I know what I'm doing. I can see. Nobody really seemed all too much concerned, but literally everybody throughout the field got at least a violation, get knocked over at least 1 cone. And Andrew McCain, man, what a heartbreak for Andrew McCain. He had been just really struggling to stay on top. Now he'd been doing it. He'd been coming through. I think he was looking at competing for first, possibly falling into second place. And then, man, he smoked the trans while they were out in the qualifying passes is legitimately what happened. We saw him in the final race, just coast down to the end. Wasn't sure if it was a trans or a CP3 issue. I just know he had some major issues in that very last race against Richard Coker, but he did make it all the way to the finals, and he got to race in the final. So when we came up to the trailer cone course, that trans is just toasted. He got halfway through it. There's a long 150-foot straight shot. They have to go back, that they have to serpentine in reverse to get into the straight shot with a trailer. He ran it all the way down. He had it in reverse. He's at the end of the track, and the thing just wouldn't go into drive. He finally had to put it in 4 low, drag it through the RPMs to get through the chicane, and then even even once he got into the stop box, to get it to go back in, he had to actually shut it down and start it back up and then back it up again. He told one of the guys, shut it off for a second, let all that sediment fall to the bottom of the pan, and then it should run fine. It did. For those of you at home, if there's sediment in your trans, fix it, which is what we heard Andrew McCain did last night.
Yeah, for sure. It was all of us listening to that transmission when he was backing in, going forward. We're all just like cringing. We're like,
Now, Brad Sankey has put up a really solid performance throughout the week. His truck has performed flawlessly as far as staying together, not overheating. He hasn't broken anything. He hasn't pushed it too far. Honestly, he got a tough shake at the drag race the other day. I think he was less than like 0.1 or 0.13 seconds off from when he lost his pass. So he's been putting up a really solid performance. And hey, only one violation for him and only one violation for Andrew McCain, even with all the trans issues. Billy Hartzell, another heartbreak story here. Billy, his diff essentially shattered from the inside out. Front diff is gone. He'd been doing the drag racing in two-wheel drive because he lost the diff, I believe, in the trailer tow racing. So he went through all of the drag racing in two-wheel drive. Not much you could do there with that big of a truck, that lifted with those tires in two-wheel. And then he came up. He was the last one to run through the trailer cone course. And, man, while they were hooking up the trailer, it sprinkled. While they backed up and they got ready to hit the horn to tell him to go, it just started downpouring on him. And, man, I'll tell you what, if there's something that the nerves and the stress and being tired throughout the whole day of being at Bandimere, and you've been through 3 events, you've watched everybody else go through all of the events, you're the very last one, we're watching this storm roll in, and it just starts downpouring the minute you hit the throttle. Like the minute you hit the throttle. That made it tough. And I think that's probably what attributed to him missing one of the gates. If you miss one of the gates, you didn't technically complete the entire course. You don't get any points. Your DNF on that did not finish.
Yeah, it was rough. The whole day was beautiful, and up until the cone course, we saw the impending doom in the sky. And unfortunately for Billy, it just waited until he started backing up to the trailer. And I think that might have contributed to the whole thing. You know what I mean? It was rough.
Absolutely. But hey, guys, we had a lot of fun out there. We talked to a lot of great people. We got to see what everybody talks about with Diesel Power Challenge, that as we get through this event and as we get closer and closer to this final day, people become more and more friendly with each other. There was no longer little camps of people. Everybody was sitting together. Everybody was walking back and forth, talking together, exchanging their stories and trying to give each other tips about what worked and what didn't work in the event. There really wasn't this closed camp. Don't tell my other competitors what my strategy is. Guys were open about it. They were talking about it. They were having fun. And that is a big part of what being at Diesel Power Challenge is all about.
Yeah, for sure. The camaraderie was at an all-time high. It just takes days to gel, and now it's like they're a group of friends now. You know what I mean? And that KJ was telling us that day one.
Absolutely. And hey, we're going to see some of the guys who had major problems last night come back tomorrow. We heard that they've been at ATS all night. They're still at ATS here bright and early this morning. They're wrenching on their truck. So we're expecting to see a return potentially from Cody Lambert, Andrew McCain, and maybe a few other guys. I think Seth Kuntz is back in as well. They're trying to put their trucks back together. Matt Mayer, he's been wrenching on that thing after almost every event. We love that crew. They've been so much fun. So I'm sure if there's anything they had to do to get prepped for today's sled pull, the boys are on it right now.
Yep, for sure.
All right, guys. Well, hey, that's our update for the cone course. Wrapping up day 4. We're kicking off day 5. It's a sled pull and then just to the award ceremony. So we'll be giving you updates as soon as we can as things go forward. For today, this has been Paul Wilson
and Justin Tyson.
Thanks for listening.